Ultramarines fans, it is a good time to be collecting action figures because it looks like with the release of the Leviathan box, there has been a ton of new action figures that have been released specifically for your Blueberry Patch faction. So this one, we are going to be taking a look at the Terminator Captain that came out with the Leviathan box. And just like with the Librarian, we are going to be seeing exactly how big the size discrepancy is between a regular old school Terminator versus this new Terminator Captain. So there's nothing to do but to start the review. The next character that we have on the review docket is the new, I suppose, Primaris Terminator, and we shall see what's up with this action figure that sets him apart from the other action figures that have come out before him. So up top you have a very interesting new icon with a centerpiece with a silver skull, and radiating out are these golden spikes. I don't know if I've ever seen this type of icon quite yet on the action figures that were released. And looking at the face of this action figure, he is sporting a pout with healthy pink lips. There doesn't seem to be too much heavy shading within the creases of this action figure's face. The eyes look like they're screened on where he's kind of staring off into the upper right hand side for some odd reason, so I'm not sure if this is like a sort of misprint on the eye. And there is no shading whatsoever on his very golden haired head. Now looking at the pauldron, you clearly see a golden area and a heraldic shield type of pauldron pattern. And Agamon is a raised banner that is attached to the surface of the pauldron, and the banner has etched scrawl on it. And down here with the arms, there is a nice crowned gold skull, and there's also a nice gold skull on this guy's wrist as well. So we're going to take a look at the other side of the pauldron, and this is where you see a very ornate Crux Terminatus. Once again, you get to see JoyToy's dry brushing in action here with the light gray. And there's also a purity seal on the side here that has a skull that's printed. So this kind of mimics what we saw in the Librarian earlier on. As we look at the broad shoulders of the Space Marine, he's got two heraldic shields that are attached on. So a checkered pattern on the top, Ultramarines U. And then the other one has more of a standard type of heraldic shield with different icons here. And then moving on to the center of this action figure, you get a very broad looking winged crowned skull right here. Maybe the first time I've been seeing this one too, so there's a lot of firsts on this action figure. So taking a look at the waist area, you clearly see a gigantic purity seal as well, featuring the same crowned skull. And this purity seal has these metal buckles that are attached to the bottom of the skull as well as at the end, I suppose, to give this purity seal a little bit more weight. There is extensive shading that's happening. And then as we look at the side of this action figure, you see a skull on the side armor, and the same thing goes with this side. Now as we progress on down, you get a very highly detailed Crux Terminatus type icon. There is another purity seal with a skull right here. On the other knee, there is scroll that has been screened onto this action figure along with another purity seal. So the only thing that actually is going on with the back is this very gorgeous cape, in my opinion. As I have said before, JoyToy does a fantastic job of doing the shading on this. This cape is a little bit different in that JoyToy decided to put some weathering on this, so you get to see some rips on the cape in choice places, as well as, I suppose, some divots that are happening for some odd reason. And in the back of this action figure is, once again, your Terminator vents. Unlike the Librarian, this one is a flat black, and this is the Librarian, so there is actually a difference between the Librarian's back vents and this vents. And this power sword has a lot of ornate iconography that is happening with it. You get to see the dark gunmetal to light silver transition. There is the blue for the power nodes, as well as some inscriptions that are scrawled on the blade of the power sword. And as we progress on down, this thing gets even more ornate here with the gigantic skull on the pommel. Let's put the blade down and take a look at the Stormbolter And I'm going to say that this Stormbolter is your standard beefy Stormbolter. The reason why I say beefy is the magazine are literally almost half of the size of the Stormbolter. So anyways, your typical black casing that's happening, no highlighting. And then with the gunmetal parts, it also has been weathered, which is very nice to see. And so that is it for the Stormbolter. So once again, we are going to be diving into size comparisons because I know you members of the chapter love size comparisons. So I was thinking the closest Terminator that I have is the quote-unquote old school Terminator Captain that I have right here. So we're going to be taking a look at the size difference really quickly, as well as to try to glean what other differences are on this action figure versus this one, aside from the accoutrements that are happening. So once again, the Terminator Captain off to the left-hand side has the old school Terminator size, and it looks like the head comes up to about the chest area of this action figure. The top of the head is literally at the top of the chest of this new Terminator Captain. So there is a very marked difference once again with regards to the size creep that is happening in our hobby. And just for size comparison too, I will put this regular Terminator Sergeant next to the Captain. And once again, these two are to scale with each other, and this is the new scale right here. In the past Librarian action figure review, one thing I touched upon was the pauldron, and this action figure does showcase the new pauldrons that you see, where you have this hinge as well as this ball and socket attachment, which I believe is a superior way to secure the pauldron, as well as gives the action figure's shoulder a bit more room to breathe and to maneuver, rather than this sort of cheap kind of pauldron where you get to see this plastic loop over the shoulder joint and then is attached here. Touching upon a very quick thing that I've noticed is that the old school Terminators have this rectangular top and it's got these little two nubbins, and then on the new school Terminators you get to see 3 of these little nubbins in this design right here. So that's another difference between these two action figures that I just wanted to highlight real quick. So at any rate, let's wrap up this review with my final assessments of this guy. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this detailed and very deep divey kind of review into an action figure. I hope this may or may not solidify whether you want to get this action figure or not. So in my opinion, I really do think you should get this action figure, mainly because it features a lot of different new things in my opinion. Weirdly enough, the first thing that actually jumps out toward me is just the cape itself. It's got a lot of weathering as well as this more worn-in look. And also the power sword has some interesting and unique ornate features that are not on any other action figure itself. And what can I say about the bare head? It's got a nice pouty, determined look. And just for this action figure being a Terminator, I think these guys are definitely well worth getting. So to close, if you are interested in picking up this action figure, please click in the link in the description below, or you will be brought to David Toys, where I get every single one of my action figures. They have fantastic customer service, and they get your action figures shipped into your hands very, very quickly. And before you check out, do not forget to use the code SNS to receive 12% off of your purchase. And with that being said, thank you for watching as usual, members of the chapter, and I will see you all in the next review.